Welcome back to Noob School. Today, I have one of my true all-time favorites, one of the people who most reminds me of me, Mr. Rob Grier. Welcome, Rob.
Hey, John, it's always an honor to be in your presence, and you've always been a mentor, so it's great to be here. Big honor. Thank you.
Of course. Well, you see why I like him. So let's start with this, something easy. Tell us how you decided to get into sales in the first place.
Well, I was selling jewelry in high school. I had done a little bit of yard work for the family in Rock Hill, South Carolina. They had one of the two jewelry stores in the mall back then when we had malls.
Okay.
And I had done some yard work, and they asked me to come in and help them with the Christmas decorations.
Wait a second. So you were working in the yard, and they said, come help us in the store?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And it was to hang decorations.
Okay.
Back then, you didn't put decorations up till Thanksgiving weekend for Christmas.
Yeah.
And they got busy, and I grabbed a set of keys and sold some earrings while I was supposed to be hanging garland.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, you want to come back? And so it was great, even coming back for 2 Christmases through my sophomore year, I got to do sales.
Was it any commission?
Yes.
It was.
Not the first 2 or 3 years, but it was like 2%.
2% of the sale.
Over minimum wage. It was great. And you were in the mall. So mall in the 80s, it was great. Lots of social. Great.
Did you have a mullet by chance?
No, I did not. Mom and Dad wouldn't let me have a mullet or.
I've got one now. it's ridiculous.
Awesome. I love yours.
Well, thank you. It's a Colby. It looks okay in the bun, I think.
Yeah, the man bun.
But the mullet is not looking good. That's all right. Well, that is so cool. I think your story is more what most people think happened in sales, that like someone kind of got into sales in high school and made commissions and sold stuff. And it is the perfect thing to do if you want to get into sales, right, is to get some early experience.
Yeah, I was lucky. Now, I didn't go to college per se to go be in sales.
What was it? What were you thinking?
Well, I did want to go into the military and then changed my mind with some certain things. Yeah. And so I was interviewing for a bunch of management jobs, basically anything that came in to the placement office back there, which is career services today.
Right. I know where it is.
We called it placement back then. It wasn't very proactive, the name placement.
Yeah. And this is at the Citadel.
It's at the Citadel.
Yeah, of course.
And that's where I met you, actually.
I know. And you worked there at the office, right?
I ended up getting a job there.
Yeah.
And, truthfully, sales was not something that I wanted, but I kept going to these banking interviews, the textile companies coming out for all the management. And they would say at the end of the interview, well, hey, this has been great. Have you considered sales? And it would, almost cringe a little bit. I don't know why, but because it's the most rewarding career.
Right. I mean, I think it's a great point, because the reason I think you cringe is because of what was put in your brain as a younger person, is that it's used car selling and it's tricky and it's not reputable and
head trash.
It's head trash. Yeah. So I'm glad you see that. But you actually, one of the reasons that I get to talk on these podcasts to people like you is we found each other. And you matched up perfectly for our job requirements, right? I mean, it wasn't like, you forced yourself to do this. You walked in and you felt like you were in the right place.
I wanted to be around you, and I wanted to be a part of what you had going on.
Yeah.
And if you were pouring the Kool-Aid, I was there drinking it. But through the interview process. I mean, I loved my visit when I came up. I was going to interview at Ferguson for that weekend where they they bought you Wild Turkey 101 and all these great things. And that was my first time after our interview coming up. I had another interview. So I was kind of controlling the time. I dropped in on you on the way to Atlanta. But I wanted to be a part of what you had going on.
Right. Well, we found each other, and there's again, if you're a noob and you're trying to figure out where you fit in, you need to understand you don't fit in everywhere, right? You have to find that right spot. It's not like you couldn't do something you didn't fit in perfectly with. It just would have been harder for everyone. But you and I fit in great, and you did great stuff for us. And you did consider some other stuff. Let's talk about you started at, I assume, age 21 with us as a inside salesperson.
Yes.
20, 21, 22, 20.
No, it was 22.
22.
It was 22.
Yeah. And so I'm just saying that the level set for the people, the youngsters watching this, is that's where you started, and you really applied yourself from the beginning, not just with selling, but with ideas for the business and different things. And before long, we trusted you, and we asked you to move to England and set up an office for us over there. Am I right?
Yeah, it was about 6 or 7 months.
It was. I decided
because that process started before
I
the
sent you
IPO
over
happened.
there before you even with us for a year.
Yeah, I came the Monday after May in graduation. I started with y'all, and in January I was in, and I just bought my house over there on Douglas Drive, and Todd Lorbach called me and said we're wanting to open a office in England.
Yeah.
And we want you to interview for
Yeah.
it. And I think by March or April, it was March. By March, we were over there. So that was.
Isn't that wild?
I'm slow on the math.
I thought
still,
it took
but
at least 3 or 4 years, but it was less than a year.
It was less. Oh, it was less than a year.
You put 2 quick starts together and see what happens.
It was just an awesome opportunity.
What an experience, though. Tell us about it.
Well, first of all, I love the culture that you had created. It was a fraternity. Having gone to the Citadel,
Yeah.
fraternities were forbidden.
Yeah.
And when I stepped into Datastream, immediately it became my fraternity. You know, you had people like Vetzel pranking you and putting fake names in your database, but I absolutely loved coming to work every day.
Yeah.
And then, so it was hard to leave that, right? Because there is natural competition that comes with it. We had that grease board.
Yeah.
We gather around that board every Friday, and then kick out for cocktails and drinks. So it was hard because when Datastream moved us over there, it was funny, I laughed. They moved me via UPS. So my stuff, we didn't really know about customs then either. My stuff showed up about a month later. Lorbach lived with me. Todd Lorbach, one of the legends, lived with me. He was my boss and lived with me for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then I was on my own. And I worked a lot. A lot. The Firm had come out, John Grisham's book, and I had read that. And I was logging my hours, and I was working anywhere 110, 120 hours a week. Because back then we'd put together our marketing and stuff. So I would be doing that at 11 to 2 a.m. And just everything. Yeah. But it was great experience to have the autonomy. You know, y'all put me up with a corporate flat or an apartment, had a corporate car, had the Amex, and I had my 24th birthday. I remember having my 24th birthday in England, and I'd already been there for 6-7 months. And this was the times leading up to going public, and you know, I had to take some risks over there, and I did a lot more in-person demos than you guys knew about. Yeah. Because Dan Christie put the freeze on the spending. Yeah. But I already had a company car and the corporate gas card. So I wouldn't spend the night. One morning I got up at 2 a.m., went to Scotland, drove all the way to Scotland from Reading, England, did the interview, and came back at about 3 a.m. So, you know, but that was fun. Yeah. That was part of it. It was a big part of me. Yeah. It was my identity. Right. Was trying and focusing on being successful for Datastream. Yeah. And you did. And it was, you know. And you did. I carried the flag, and Datastream was the flag that I carried. You did. And I loved it.
You did, and eventually we, as you know, we ended up with like the whole the subway system in England and the whole rail system. I mean, the biggest accounts over there we ended up getting after all your seed planting. So thank you for that.
Oh, well, thanks. No, it was a great experience.
And you did a great job too. I just can't believe I sent you over there that early. It's unbelievable. Tell us something about sales that turned out to be different or way different than you thought it was going to be.
The professionalism that is within sales. Yeah. It's a bond within itself. You know, I don't know if they talk about the phrase much anymore, but carrying a bag. Mm-hmm. And they're, for true, real professionals, carrying a bag, it means a lot. And a lot of respect. You know, you hear about sales is where the rubber meets the road. Mm-hmm. And that is really so true. Mm-hmm. And so we were talking a little bit earlier about head trash. So it's only head trash if you believe it. And so if you believe yourself to be in a subservient role mm-hmm. as a salesperson, you're probably not going to be very successful. Yeah. In fact, that was one of the things in your training you broke of me quick, and I even pushed back on you at first, mm-hmm. is I kept saying, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. You know, like, sir, yes, sir. Yeah. And you were like, stop that. You want to be at you want to be as a peer, or if not above. Yeah. And so it's a mindset. Yeah. And you were the quickest person to get me over that mindset to then be successful.
Yeah. Good. Well, it's a great lesson is that the buyer and the seller, you need, regardless of what side you're on, it's got to be equal. Yeah. Because we're swapping something. Maybe it's money for my services. Maybe it's I'm selling you this and you're trading me that. But it's just it's a negotiation to a large degree. So I'm glad for that. I'm glad it's a good point. And the Citadel makes it harder, when you're young and you're coming out of the Citadel to say, yes, sir, to everyone.
And my mama too. My mama always said, right, you have good manners, young man.
Right. All right. Do you remember your Colby scores?
Yes.
What are they?
I laugh because
so 2 follow through, right?
It's a 6, 2, 8, 3.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I know the big numbers. 6, which is the first number, is fact finder. Yep. And then 8 is quick start. Mm-hmm. And then I can always get the 2 and the 3 confused. So
I know what they are. So 6, 2, 8, 3. It's very important. And I recommended that all of our followers get tested with Colby.com.
Absolutely.
But, you've got a scale of 1 to 10, you're high on fact finder. So if you think about an idea, you'll do a lot of homework to kind of figure it out. And then your 8 on quick start means you're very likely to just do it, right?
Right.
Like go to England when you're 23 years old. I mean, crazy. That's a high quick start. Your follow through is a 2, which means it's not natural for you. It's very natural to get on a plane and go.
Right.
But not natural for you to do all the, like, I've got to do this, I got to check the visa, I got to do whatever, I've got to get my plan together. My expense reports, exactly. People with low quick start can't get their expense reports done. So all that means is, if you know about it, is you have to have a system to accommodate for that. It could be a personal assistant, could be a fancy planner like you have to kind of completely over-plan everything to make sure you got it.
Right.
Because it's not coming naturally.
No.
Right?
Right.
So the point is, it's okay to be any of these numbers as long as you know them.
Oh, yeah. And everything's about stepping outside of your natural human instincts. Mm-hmm. And so that's what systems, that's why I like my planner here.
What's it called?
This is the next level achievement system.
Okay. Very good.
But like planners like that, just to keep you focused.
Mm-hmm. Good. So 6283, very good. Tell us, since you started as a noob, like all of us, couple 20 years ago, whenever it was, what were some of the best decisions you've made, along that way that you could pass on?
As a noob, right? Kind of a thing.
As a noob, and then just keep going. There's a couple of other ones that are like good things choices you made.
Personal development.
Okay.
And I remember coming in, and I was the guy. I had heard about some Nightingale Connet back in the day. They had a monthly tape subscription where I'd get the 8 audio cassettes in the plastic binder, and every month I'd get a new one, and I would just really devour those cassettes. And then as other people came on, I'd pass them on if they wanted them, and always get them back. I found with that high quick start, I'm not the best reader unless it's fiction. And so personal development was hard. So I learned if I got an audio version, I'm probably going to listen to it 3 to 8 times in my life, whereas I might not get through chapter 3 on a book on the side. So personal development now, I would say Audible. A lot of people talk about podcasts. Podcasts, sometimes you get one personality type. So I love Audible because I'm buying books. And then I also have a rule that I'm only buying books that the author narrated. So I get their own tonality, inflection.
Do you have any rules about buying books or things like this when you still have other stuff you bought you hadn't read yet? I need a rule like that.
And honestly, I've gone to Audible, except your book, and I read it in a week, which is great for me. But your book is the first book I've read in 3 years, and I loved it. And but it's Audible. That's my rule, because I will listen to that message again and again. I'll come back to the good one.
That's a great takeaway for the audience. It's just one thing. You can learn so much, from Audible. I think it's a great one.
Get your book on Audible.
I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about doing it, myself for that very reason, because some of the feedback I've gotten from our audience, our college age people who want to go into sales, is, I like the idea, but honestly, I haven't actually read it. We like to listen to things or watch things. And so that's one of the reasons we're doing the podcast, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
And do it yourself, or if you have some guest chapter people, people that know it, so that they're hitting your message. It's all tonality, inflection, and pitch.
Yeah, okay. So like if Jenny Shaw is on page or chapter 12 or whatever, she could read her little section.
Yeah,
maybe.
that would be a great
That's pretty cool.
touch.
She'll be here soon. Tell them some of the things, or maybe one or two things that slowed you down, things that you wouldn't do again, or you would do a different way in your path to where you are today.
Yeah, I was very impatient.
Quick start.
Yeah, and I love the challenge. So the riskier and the challenge, and the greater the challenge, the more it just got me excited. And I would jump right in. And so understanding that for the long-term sales, you are going to have ups and downs. And so the downs were really hard, and it beat me up because I allowed my identity at that time period was Rob Grier, Datastream Sales.
I know.
I mean, that was
who I was. Such a good lesson, though. Such a good lesson to be past that.
Yes, and be patient. And trust systems. I didn't want to trust systems, and I have to have them now.
Yeah, absolutely. A process, a system, and then not to confuse who you are with this role you're playing.
Right.
Right. I mean, you're working for a great company and things are going great. Doesn't mean you're great. It doesn't mean you're bad if it's going bad. It just So anyway, it's a great lesson. So let me ask you this very important question: what is your favorite word?
That was one of the questions that you kind of fed into it, and I thought about this, and I found out I have different favorite words during different paths of my journey, and I would have said, when you hired me, persistence would have been, and I love that quote, persistence prevails when all else fails. I'm approaching 50 this year, and gratitude is, and gratitude is a proactive state. And I would have to say now, my favorite word is gratitude, because it forces and reminds me to be grateful and thankful for the ride, the experiences, the things. Wonderful. And when we have gratitude in our lives, more things come our way.
That's wonderful. Well, that's a powerful message for everyone who's listening. And I just want to thank you for being here and driving down from Charlotte. I do want to ask you one quick question. I have this hat sitting here.
That's a gift from me to you.
At Rob Real Props. That's your business.
That's my social media accounts.
And tell us what you're doing now.
I'm in commercial real estate, and I focus on working with investors, buyers and sellers of apartment buildings.
Yeah.
They call it multifamily in the commercial real estate world.
Well, good time to be in real estate.
Yes, it is.
Good time to be Rob Grier.
It's a good time to be here with you, man. I can't tell you how much.
Thank you, brother.
Love you. I love you too, man.
Okay.